So the song Way Too Easy was inspired by my time alone with God. So I used to have this call center job, and when I would come home, I would feel so drained. Anybody who's ever worked at a call center, you know that feeling. So one day I was so drained, and when I came home, I was like, I just can't do it. So I went upstairs to my room. I shut the door and I just laid down on the floor. I just laid before God. Like I couldn't even pray. And I just laid before Him. And in my heart, I just had that yearning like, God, I need you. I don't know what I'm feeling. I don't know why I'm so drained, but I just need you. I didn't even pray. I didn't feel His presence. But by the time that I got up, I did feel better. So every day when I would come home from work, I made it a routine. I would just go upstairs, go to my room, and shut the door. And I would continue to just come before God. And I would continue and just be before Him. And what started to happen was Jesus would meet me. So sometimes I would go upstairs and lay down, and halfway through of me just, laying before God, I would start to feel His presence. Not saying that He wasn't present before, but maybe I just wasn't able to feel His presence, but I would start to feel His presence. And then I would want to lay there before Him for a long time. So I would go so deep into His presence that I would just want to stay there forever. But Jesus would give me these nudges like, okay, you do have responsibilities. So it came to a point that whenever I would come home and go upstairs and shut the door, that I wouldn't even have to lay before Him for long. Sometimes immediately, as soon as I shut the door, I would feel God's presence. And during this time, it wasn't like a discipline. It wasn't like a mandatory thing. Like, on Sundays, it's kind of like, okay, Sunday I go to church, or I should be praying right now, or I should be reading my Bible. This was not like a mandatory thing or a forced thing. It was like something that I wanted to spend time with God because I knew He was there and He would meet me in my room. There was one time when I was leaving work and the supervisors were calling out, who wants overtime? Who wants overtime? And they came to me specifically, do you want overtime? And normally, who doesn't want overtime? But I was like, no, I don't want any overtime, because I knew that when I got home, I would be going upstairs, shutting the door, and I would be in God's presence. And that was something that I did not want to miss. It was almost like a date with God, right? A special time with God. And sometimes when I would be in the room alone with God, I wouldn't just lay on the floor. Now that, I could feel His presence and we were building this thing, this relationship, sometimes I would sing to Him. Sometimes I would give thanks. Sometimes I would play the piano. And sometimes I would even sleep, right? But it was all in God's presence. And the funny thing about it is people would start to, whenever they would come over the house, people would want to come to my room, which was kind of not that awkward, but it was kind of awkward when they didn't want to leave. You know what I mean? They were like staying longer than normal, trying to be in my room. And at first I didn't understand, like, why is everyone coming to my room all of a sudden? But then after a while I started realizing, oh, they feel the presence of God in here. I don't know if they knew, or it's just that, it was something that was just drawing them, right? So spending time with God is just such an awesome thing. And during this time where I was spending time with God, 3 songs, I would say I wrote about 3 songs of just me spending time with God. And I'm sure there's more to come. Now, there is a warning. So because this time of God was not something that was mandatory. It wasn't like a discipline or anything like that. It just was based off of, just loving to spend time with God. The warning is, what started to happen was I would get these little distractions around the time where it was time for me to, around the time where me and God, set up to spend time together. I would get these little distractions and I did not notice it. So slowly, instead of spending time with God, slowly things would come up, or I would have to do something, or just little things will take your attention away. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I can look back and see that just by me not being in God's presence, there were certain negative changes in my character. There also were some crazy events that I believe that if I was spending more time with God, I would have had I believe that I would have had the knowledge, the wisdom, and the understanding to undertake these crazy events that did happen. So my warning is, if you're spending time with God or you're cultivating that relationship, don't fall off. This is a real relationship. Jesus is real. He's a person. He has feelings, and this is a real relationship, just like any other relationship. If you want to keep it, you should nurture it, right? And Jesus is a gentleman. He's not gonna force you to spend time with him. So this is how Way Too Easy was inspired. That I was spending time with God that I did not want to leave. I was so deep in his presence that I did not want to leave his presence. So definitely if you don't already have one, begin to build a relationship with Jesus. And if you have a relationship with Jesus, and this goes for me too, let's just try to cultivate our relationship with Jesus so that it becomes stronger.
This is way too easy. I can spend a whole day with you, locked up in my room, spending all my time with you. Every single day, it's the things you say, but things ain't going right. Lord, you shed your light. This is way too easy. I can spend a whole day with you, and you say one day, and you say one day is equal to 1,000 years. This is way too easy. This is way too easy. I love it when you talk to me. Love it when you talk to me. I love it when you talk to me. Love it when you talk to me. I love it when you talk to me. Love it when you talk to me. I love it when you talk to me. Love it when you talk to me.